Hey, so good to see you again. Welcome back to this week's episode of Closed by Mo. My name is Mohammed. I'm hopefully your favorite YouTube host on most things real estate. I'm also a real estate investor and a broker based out of New York City. This week's video, we're not going to be talking about residential real estate or commercial real estate. I figured it's a good time for us to shift gears a little bit and take a look at actual mortgage data nationally that was released by the data company Black Knight Reporting. I'll post the links to all my sources down below in the description, of course. Without further ado, let's jump right into the mortgage data, that the report which was released in February of this year, so February 2024, because it has some pretty insightful things I wanted to talk about. Now, I want to clarify something here. All the data that I'll be discussing today is going to be from one report, which is the the Dark Knight mortgage report. I'm going to put my sources in the description section below. Overall, if you're too lazy to watch this whole video, it seems like the economy, or at least the mortgage market, or the mortgage economy, is sort of stabilizing a little bit. What I mean by that is, when I'm out in the market, or when I'm in, having, regular layman conversation with folks, they'll say, hey, there's a big crash coming, people can't afford homes, and, people are missing their mortgage payments, and we're waiting for a foreclosure wave so we can scoop up properties at a discount. That's not what's happening. According to the data, according to what we're actually seeing right now, although there was a little bit of a small uptick in overall delinquencies through December into January, the serious delinquency rate is actually more than, I would say, about 20% lower than where it was this time of last year. So serious delinquencies, aka payments on mortgages that are more than 90 days behind, have actually fallen almost 20% from where they were this time last year. As a matter of fact, the overall amount of foreclosure starts, or the overall amount of times, or the overall amount of events in which a bank has to file for foreclosure against a homeowner, has actually fallen to its lowest level in 18 months. And I'll put some charts here so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Overall, foreclosure fears and fears of like this huge wave of short sales or foreclosures and people not being able to pay their mortgages is just not happening. The only concern that I had, which was sort of a little bit of an eyebrow raise, was the fact that the overall delinquency rates on FHA loans were the only delinquency rates on any kind of mortgage product that actually rose, which is a little bit of an indicator, because typically what we'll see is delinquency rates on FHA loans will increase, followed by delinquency rates on conventional mortgages and things like that. But if you take a look at this chart here, you'll see that the report is indicating that it's not as big of a concern, because the overall volume of sub 660 credit score mortgage originations is considerably lower than where it was pre-Great Recession, or pre the 2008 housing crash. And that is a little bit of a confidence boost, saying that, okay, maybe there's something else going on with these FHA delinquencies, and it's not the indicator that, hey, that we're about to step on a landmine or anything like that. Overall, active foreclosure inventory has also been trickling slowly down nationally. It's down 5,000 or so, which is about 25%, so a quarter below pre-pandemic levels, and the lowest since where we were just a couple of years ago around this time, so around March 2022. So all this data, all this information put together just sort of gives me an indication that, hey, look, foreclosure activity is pretty low, pre-foreclosure activity is pretty low, delinquency rates are also pretty low. So there's, all these data points point to the fact that, okay, my fears, or anyone's fears of a foreclosure wave or anything like that, is probably a non-starter. What we're also seeing, though, is that prepayment activity has been pretty steady. The report goes on to indicate that probably a reasoning for this is because of the interest rates, right? A big chunk, more than 50%, I believe it was like 56% or so, of prepayment activity actually happens when people sell their home and then pay off their mortgage balance. Now, there's not as many people are selling their home thanks to mortgage rates, because it doesn't make sense for them to sell a house at like a sub 6% rate that they've gotten a mortgage from, and then buy a smaller house at a higher than 6% rate, where their payment's going to be higher, if not double, than what they're already paying. So what we're seeing is the prepayment activity hasn't really changed by too much. However, a positive indicator, though, which I'm thinking of as a win, is that home affordability has actually improved in the last few months, regardless of mortgage rates sort of fluctuating up and down. Right now, the median mortgage payment, or the median purchase price on a home, if you were to put on 20% or so, the median mortgage payment would be right around that $2,300 mark. That's actually a drop of around 10% or so from the record high that we had seen in October, when rates were like rates kept going up and there was no signs of rates slowing down. Again, it's still higher than where we were maybe several years ago. But this is still a pretty strong indicator that, okay, home affordability is definitely increasing, at least by 5 to 10% when you look at the median numbers and data sets. All this put together tells me that right now the housing market is probably very stable. Obviously, it depends on which market you're in and which sub-market you're going to be in as well, but I'm not expecting any kind of foreclosure wave coming in that real estate investors or people that are on the sidelines might be waiting on, especially on the residential side of things. But I'm also not expecting to see like a crazy high amount of inventory coming into the market to help alleviate some of the buyer demand that we're seeing that is keeping prices stable, if not higher, because people just don't want to sell it. It doesn't make any sense for them unless there's some kind of a trigger event, like a death, God forbid, divorce, dispute, any kind of people transferring property, things like that. Unless there's any kind of trigger event, I'm just not seeing properties come on the market. With that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you also enjoyed watching all the different slides and the screenshots that I'm posting here too. Again, the report from Black Knight Mortgage Data is going to be in the description below, so if you scroll down, you can find it right there. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.